welcome everybody, and my name is Tarun Agarwal, and I'm assistant professor at the electrical engineering department. And so today in this series, we are going to look at this book, which many of you would have seen at the airports, and so it's a very popular book. So I am sure that many of you would have read also, but people who have not read, let me tell you what it is about, so that if you want to give it a try, please do. So it is written by Dr. Harari, who has a PhD from Oxford, and now he is a lecturer at Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and he specializes in world history. So you can obviously know that it is about world history and the account of that. And I really like the footnote which he has written, saying that I encourage all of us, whatever our beliefs, to question the basic narratives of our world, to connect past developments with the present concerns, and not to be afraid of controversial issues. So basically, that is the basic idea of the book, that he's trying to give a account of history, or let's say the events in history, how it would have shaped who humans are now, or in this modern age. And so that is the interesting part about, at least for me, was that it gives a context to a lot of things which we humans do, right? And so for example, I'll just read few things from the book just to give an example. So he starts with the world history, let's say, from the how different revolutions have come into place. So he starts with the cognitive revolution, then agriculture, and then last 500 years of scientific revolution. In the cognitive revolution, if you see, the one thing which he talks about is that why the human babies are born immature, or let's say, so he says that women who gave birth earlier, when infants' brain and head were relatively large and small, relatively small and supple, fared better and lived to have more children. So basically, he's saying that because the children head and everything is growing, and we don't, so that's why the children are coming earlier, prematurely, than they should be. And that's why it needs a large amount of people around us to raise children. So that's what he's trying to mention with how it can be. There are many different points. Let's say if we go to the very interesting point on page 27. So yeah. So then he starts with that. Basically, there is with the cognitive revolution, there's a lot of things which came as a fiction, because we were very good at making stories, and that's what he says, that's where the whole fiction came, that this is this and this is that, and which is what he mentioned initially as saying narrative, that we all are running by some narrative. Let's say, for example, if I was, let's say I have certain responsibility toward my parents or something, that's kind of a narrative of the society which is dealt with. And that's what he has been basically dealing with, that how humans have kind of invented this fiction, or these stories, or these myths, and which is that God is everywhere. All these kind of different things he has been talking about in the book. And so let's say, for example, he says that these fictions are one of the way which humans survive for so long, or they are at the best of all the species in the world, because we collaborated together. Let's say I believe this institution is great, so there are maybe 2,000 people working at the institute, and they are all thinking of the same narrative, that we have to make this institution the best. So this is like a narrative basically which we are working, and it's a fiction. There is nothing institute, right? If you see, these are walls, these are rooms, but where is the institute? So it's something, he calls it as a legal fiction, which is called in the legal lawyer's definition. It's a figment of our imagination. Somebody calls this is the institute, and we are all working towards it. So that is the whole point which he says, make us collaborate and come up with something. And that's why we are, let's say, at the top of this world, as we call it, right? And so I think in the end, it becomes very interesting that he tries to question that the whole account of that we have been here, and we are the, let's say, the most fierce species as of now. And then he talks about that where are we going actually. So are we going to be the top of all the species in the future, or is it something else is coming? And then uh, in the end, basically, I will read that what is his afterword, because that is very interesting. Then he says that 70,000 years ago, Homo sapiens was still an insignificant animal minding its own business in a corner of Africa. In the following millennia, it transferred itself into the master of the entire planet and the terror of the ecosystem. Today, it stands on the verge of becoming a god, poised to acquire not only the eternal youth but also the divine abilities of creation and destruction. And then that's what basically he's talking about, that if we are at that stage, where are we going? So, in the end, basically, he says that we are more powerful than ever before, but have very little idea about what to do with this all power. And worse still, humans seem to be more irresponsible than ever, self made gods with only the laws of physics to keep us company. We are accountable to no one. So, that is the problem he is trying to say, that we are going in the race, but we are never satisfied. So, what is the meaning of our life? And that is basically why I chose this book, because when I saw the narrative and everything, it brings me to this inquiry of who am I? What is the context of human life? Let's say if I were to see in this world, why I was born. And according to him, at least in the chapter of meaning of life, he says there is no purpose, there's no meaning. You are just an event which happened on this earth. And what we are trying to find is a meaning. Let's say a meaning of raising the best kid ever possible, building a company, the best company, building the best institute ever possible. These are all meanings we are finding, and that's how we are collaborating, right?